And now to present our certificates to our 2016 nominees for Public Safety Professionals. The first one is Brandy Bruns, Driver Operator 1 for Jacksonville Fire and Emergency Services. A telecommunicator for Jacksonville Public Safety 911, Sierra Cravens. Photographers over here. From the Swansboro Police Department, Line Patrol Sergeant Robert Earl Daughtery III. Captain with the Jacksonville Fire and Emergency Services, Jimmy Lee Davis, Jr. Ronald David Dodge, Field Training Officer, Provost Marshal's Office, Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune. From the Jacksonville Police Department Traffic Division, Corporal Scott Allen Eichelberger. Onslow County Emergency 911 telecommunicator, Candace English Jarman. From the Onslow County Sheriff's Department, Deputy Sheriff John Joseph Ricker. A paramedic with Onslow County Emergency Services, Division of EMS, Alex R. Tremaine. And last but certainly not least, Master Trooper Todd Williams from the North Carolina State Highway Patrol. Congratulations again to all of our nominees. We are privileged to have the North Carolina Secretary of the Department of Public Safety Frank Perry as our keynote speaker. Governor Pat McCrory named Frank L. Perry Secretary of the Department of Public Safety in August of 2013. As Secretary of the Department of Public Safety, Perry oversees a department of more than 26,000 sworn law enforcement and civilian employees, along with 11,000 North Carolina National Guard soldiers. Perry is also the state's Homeland Security Advisor, and in this capacity has personnel assigned to 9 federal task forces that combat a multitude of public safety threats from violent crime to terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Perry.
Thank you, Ms. Leagon. And I had the privilege of sitting, I know you're tired of this, with I think 15 Jeff Clarks at the table, and the sheriff has a warrant for one. We can't figure out which one it is. Sheriff Miller, it's good to see you, and I apologize. I didn't think you'd be so nice to me since I stood you up last year, but it almost happened this morning. Bad things are happening in Charlotte, and hopefully we'll have a quieter evening. I enjoy these commendation ceremonies. And I don't know how else to put it except the way my grandmother would: bless you, Chamber, for recognizing first responders. I think that is amazing. I was at Wilson earlier this year, and it was a similar event. And I started my remarks by saying, this is a mean and dangerous world. And a lady pulled on my coat. She said, this is the Optimist Club. And I didn't start off well with them. But it was the Optimist Club. But I came around to making an optimistic point that thanks to these heroes, that it is indeed a good and decent world in the final analysis. Who are these heroes that you've honored? Troopers, good to see you. The sheriffs, the EMTs, the telecommunicators, the deputies, the officers, the agents. There are always those that are not recognized that assist those that are recognized. But this is a special group of people, as you know. That's why you honor them. Such a beautiful complex. I've never been here before. I wish my home county of Franklin, which is not one of the wealthier counties, but I wish we had something like this. This is beautiful. But public safety is, as you know, the fundamental purpose of government. And any government complex, any constitution, any writ, any initiative by government must begin with public safety. There's no education, there's no commerce, there's no economy unless we have public safety professionals. They're the foundation of it all. And we honor the profession as well as the individuals mentioned today. Years ago, the FBI Academy profilers, the people you see on those shows like The Mentalist and what are some of those other embellished shows where they show up to a crime scene and see a hideous scene and say the person that did this drives a blue Volkswagen. It's not quite that easy. We have person of interest in these TV shows, but years ago, the profilers who look at crime scenes said, let's look at ourselves. Who are the people? Who are the first responders, the firefighters, even the military, but certainly the deputies and the agents, the officers and the troopers, the telecommunicators, the EMTs, the paramedics? Who are these people, and what is their psychological profile? So we heard about the research. Sheriff, you may have heard about it years ago because you were assigned to the FBI task force. But we were thinking, well, we're all like Navy SEALs, or maybe we're like educators or politicians, congressmen, senators, doctors. The answer came out 6 years later that those who are called into this profession have the same psychological profile as those called into the ministry. And we didn't quite understand that. I know a lot of agents, and so do you in law enforcement. I don't think they would be in line to be ministers the way they talk, but their serious implication of what they found was that we, like imams, like rabbis, like pastors and priests, preachers, that there's something about the people you just recognized and the professions that they represent, that they have answered a calling. Ministers and others that I named, they answer the calling of helping us get closer to our Creator. But those of this profession are answering the call to protect human rights they learned at the FBI Academy. We didn't really come in thinking that. I didn't when I came into the FBI. And I don't see myself as a minister now, although some people accuse me of talking like one. Maybe I do. But there is a calling that is high, that is decent, that is good, and that lingers. And the calling of first responders, no matter what the task, is to protect human rights. And these days, last night in Charlotte is an example. It's hard to protect human rights without violating human rights. If you do not think that's a difficult job, you don't understand the professions that were just honored. And those who can navigate those waters, troopers, deputies, officers, agents, paramedics, EMTs, I love naming them, firefighters. We appreciate your ability to navigate the waters of protecting human rights without doing harm. The profession of first responders is also to be compared to the medical profession. The famous Hippocratic oath that doctors take, made by Hippocrates, ancient Greek years ago. At least do no harm. We do that. We try to do that in these professions every day, don't we, Sheriff? That's the least we can do. But firefighters cannot show up to a scene of a fire and sit on the street corner and do no harm. We have to go beyond that and render aid, just like physicians. But thirdly, today, we've had to implement a predictive model of law enforcement, of firefighting, of EMTs, because it's no longer enough to arrive at the scene of the crime or the fire or those in medical need. We have to prevent. I worked with a former FBI agent. He's now working with the governor in the Department of Public Safety. He was assigned to Oklahoma City when the federal building was bombed years ago. Do any of you remember that? And they showed up looking at rubble and looking at, not to be graphic, but human body parts everywhere. We thought it was Al-Qaeda. It was a domestic terrorist. It was a homegrown lad that simply had gotten perverted in his thinking and his beliefs and hated people in law enforcement and first responders. And he blew up the building. Those he killed and damaged the most were children in the daycare center at the corner. And this agent, Greg Baker, sat there in the rubble and cried, and the firefighters cried. Remember the firefighter coming out with the deceased child. And they both sat there and cried and said, there must be a better way. And the better way now, that everyone you just honored, who does no harm, who must render aid, they're called now to prevent the crime scene. And troopers, deputies, firefighters, everybody in this profession have to now work a wider range of problems, from crimes against children to terrorism. I have legislators in Raleigh that sometimes call me in to testify. Why do you have troopers assigned to the terrorism task force? Because troopers at 2 in the morning, when everybody else is asleep and deputies are out and officers are out and paramedics are out and others, they may stop someone but look in the back seat and see an ISIS flag. They look in the back seat and see an abused child. They look in the back seat and see drugs stacked under the seat. There's a wide range of violations, over 300, that the people you just honored are called on to, even if they don't have the primary jurisdiction, they have to feed that information into someone to prevent a crime. Kidnapping, gangs are growing. There are people who hate our profession with a passion these days, and we just keep going. We just keep going on with that sense of calling to protect human rights, and we don't become bitter. We don't become like them. There's a great Chinese saying, if you become as immoral as your enemy, he's already defeated you. We're not going to be corrupted. And those that you honored will not ever be corrupted. The calling then, I'll leave you because I know you have other things to do this afternoon. But I would call them the 3 C's that these in this profession of first responding are called into. First is allegiance to the Constitution. I understand I missed the Pledge of Allegiance. I apologize. But we're called in this profession and these professions to enforce the Constitution without violating it. That is our calling. Those rights of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. A lot of people think the pursuit of happiness is pursuit of pleasure. The history of that with Thomas Jefferson and others is it means the pursuit of moral excellence. That's what happiness means in the definition in the Constitution and Declaration. These people have taken an oath to give their best to defend life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of moral excellence. Second C is cunning. Cunning is a term used in Scripture. Cunning doesn't mean we must be devious in this profession, but we're called to be as cunning as snakes. You know the Scripture. Harmless as doves, cunning as snakes. This profession, we have to be cunning. Again, that doesn't mean devious, getting away with things under the radar. Quite the opposite. It means being careful. It means being careful with the situation upon which you are arriving, because it's never certain what you may encounter. And be cunning also and careful with your own life so that your family doesn't go to your funeral. And thirdly, the C I would leave with you is compassion. More and more people, sheriff troopers at Lejeune, sir, you are? More and more, the people that you encounter, many are suffering from mental illness. We have 56 prisons in the Department of Public Safety, some 35,000, as we call them, overnight guests. But we have people there who have committed murder. We have people there for a short time. And more we're learning that just in 2009, 9% had a mental disease. Now it's approaching 20%. So can we use the techniques even within prison and outside on the street that we used 7 years ago? And the answer is no. Because many of these people were abused as children. Is that getting soft in my old age? No. It's the way it ought to be. And the people that are represented here and that you honored embrace compassion, because we never know who we're stopping or what they've been through. 2 final quotes, and I'm finished. Plato, years ago, contemporary of Hippocrates, said, "Be kind, because everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." And we have to do that in public safety. We have to do that every day. Because usually the people that see us coming, firefighters, troopers, deputies, they say either, "Oh God," or "Thank God." And we don't know which to expect when we show up. So we must be mindful that that person may be facing the worst day of their life. and we approach them with strength, with cunning, with embracing the Constitution and what that means, and we approach them with compassion. My dad, years ago, was a Battle of the Bulge veteran, World War II. One of a few that made it home. He didn't want to be in the Army. He was just a PFC. Smart man, died 5 years ago. I dream about him 3 nights a week. But in his disabled years, before he died, the paramedics would show up at his home once in a while. Once in a while, a deputy would show up with him, and he said, "Son, I don't know what it is. There's something in their eyes. There's always something in their eyes when they come to me." Be it FBI agent, deputy, trooper, EMT. He saw something in their eyes. I would suggest to you that what he saw was this grand combination of loving the Constitution, having cunning, and a grand store of compassion. I leave you with those 3 C's. I thank you for your service. I thank you for your kind invitation for me to be a part of this grand occasion. I really respect what you've done today. Thank you.
That side. On that side. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you very much. I've been looking forward to this day for a year at least. I can tell you, my fellow Jeff Clark compadre, who was the chairman last year of the chamber, would speak to me often about this particular event. As you know, the chamber's involved in numerous things, pretty steady, a lot of functions, and this is the one that Jeff kept telling me about that meant so much to him. And after hearing your words, sir, I think you summed it up perfectly why this is so very important to us in this community in particular. So thank you very much. So now you get to listen to me for a little while. That's the bad news. The good news is you're about to meet 4 very spectacular young people. The goal of this ceremony is to recognize public safety professionals who, through their exemplary conduct of their duties, have best served the citizens of Onslow County, its municipalities, Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune, and Marine Corps Air Station New River during the past year. Our first award presentation is for the 2016 Emergency Medical Services Professional of the Year. The EMS professional began as a volunteer with the Jacksonville Rescue Squad in Onslow County in 1998 and did so until 2012. He worked his way through the ranks and was employed with the Onslow County Emergency Services Division of the EMC in 2011 as a paramedic trainee and obtained his paramedic credentials in 2012. In 2013, he began assisting with the training of paramedic students performing their clinical evaluation time with the Division of EMS. The very next year, he began assisting with the orientation and remediation of new employees to the Division of EMC. EMS. Well, that's me. That's you. Sorry. It's not Jones Onslow EMC. It's the EMS. He has also headed up projects within the division of the EMS to investigate assessment tools and treatment that improve patient care. He has shown himself to be a professional and caring provider who believes in educating the paramedics he works with. He cares about this community and wants to ensure that all patients receive the best care possible. He has proven himself as an outstanding leader and is well respected by all of his coworkers. Congratulations to our 2016 Emergency Medical Services Professional of the Year, Onslow County Emergency Services Division of EMS Paramedic, Mr. Alex R. Tremaine. The next award is for the 2016 Emergency Communications Professional of the Year. From the first day on the job, this telecommunicator has exhibited an adaptability, and a keen willingness to learn new things. This person is versatile, a hard worker, and does the very best to offer the citizens of Jacksonville the services requested and needed. I'd like to share with you a couple of examples. One day she was working when a call was received about a drive-by shooting that involved a victim with a gunshot wound to the chest. Because of the swiftness of the call taking and response by the team, she was able to dispatch police, fire, and EMS, and had units on the scene in less than 5 minutes. During this hectic time, the 911 center received numerous phone calls and maintained constant contact with the responding officers to issue a safe response. The quick thinking and teamwork assured all the needed information was obtained and the necessary units were dispatched. One of her favorite memories was actually being able to step out of the 911 center to assist the patrol division officers that needed an interpreter for American Sign Language. A young boy had run away from his mother due to a bad family situation. He was living in the homeless shelter with his 2 brothers. He was a frustrated child. To make matters worse, the only person he could communicate with was his mother, because no one else he knew signed. The boy knew how to read lips, but was refusing to look at the police officers. She went down to the patrol car, got in, and signed with him for about an hour to try to discover why he was so upset. They signed about things he liked to do and the sports he liked to play. Sierra Cravens stated that she can still recall more about that young man than she can about what she saw on the news yesterday morning. Please join me in congratulating the 2016 Emergency Communications Professional of the Year, Jacksonville Public Safety 911 telecommunicator Sierra Cravens. Our third award is to the 2016 Firefighter Professional of the Year. This firefighter professional excelled in his duties as he has been promoted through the ranks. In January 2013, there was a promotion to the rank of Driver Operator 1. This firefighter and her team were recognized by the City of Jacksonville with an Extraction and Rescue Award for their part in providing exemplary care and customer service to a patient who had been critically injured and entrapped in a vehicle accident. The immediate response and expert care, along with the extraordinary actions of the team, resulted in a rapid extrication that resulted in the patient being provided the best possible medical care and outcome. Since 2006, this person has served in many leadership capacities in the Piney Green Volunteer Fire Department. She also serves on the Jacksonville Fire and Emergency Services Technical Rescue Team and the Onslow County Swift Water Rescue Team. Further, she became the first female from Jacksonville Fire and Emergency Services to complete the North Carolina Breathing Equipment School, obtain the North Carolina Advanced Firefighter Certificate, and become a certified Level 3 fire and life safety educator. Brandy Burns has numerous other certifications as well, to include Emergency Medical Technician Basic, Firefighter 2, Fire Officer 2, Chief 101, Child Passenger Safety Seat Technician, Driver Operator Pump and Aerials, Fire Inspector 1, Fire Instructor 2, Rescue Technician, and Incident Safety Officer. Because of her dedication, perseverance, and leadership at Jacksonville Fire and Emergency Services and in the community, Driver 1 Brandy Burns was selected as the Jacksonville Fire and Emergency Services Firefighter of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chamber's 2016 Firefighter Professional of the Year, Brandy L. Burns. Bruns. I said Burns the whole time because she's a firefighter. Her name is Bruns. I apologize. Sorry. God, I went over that so many times too. All right. Our final award is for the 2016 Law Enforcement Professional of the Year. I want all the nominees to know that this was a very difficult selection for our judges. This law enforcement professional was selected as our winner because of an incredible work ethic and unfaltering dedication. This person joined the Jacksonville Police Department in 2009, working in the patrol division and with the community response team before being selected for specialized assignment in traffic division in 2012. This officer is committed to highway safety and has taken a focused interest in the identification, removal, and prosecution of impaired drivers from the Jacksonville roadways. The International Association of Chiefs of Police and National Highway Traffic Safety Administration manage and coordinate the Drug Evaluation and Classification Program that provides an officer with the skills to conduct an evaluation to determine whether a person is impaired on substances other than alcohol. The DRE-trained officer can also differentiate between drug influence and medical or mental illness. It is one of the most difficult and intensive classes for a law enforcement officer to attend. Less than 1% of law enforcement officers in North Carolina are drug recognition experts. Jacksonville Police Department Corporal Scott Eichelberger is the only certified DRE in Onslow County. During 2015, Scott was recognized as one of the top 5 DRE officers in the entire state of North Carolina for providing a quality drug influence evaluations among all of his peers. Corporal Eichelberger has been recognized as an expert in court in multiple driving while impaired trials and was recognized during legal update training by the District Attorney's Office for his expertise in writing detailed reports needed for prosecution. Corporal Eichelberger has become the agency's go-to person for questions related to impaired driving. He has built a phenomenal working relationship with our DA's office. In addition to his DRE training, he is also a traffic crash reconstructionalist. In 2015, he received his Traffic Enforcement and Investigation certification from the North Carolina Justice Academy. This certificate is designed to recognize the achievements of law enforcement officers who have dedicated themselves to making the highways safer for our citizens. In addition to all these law enforcement specialties, Corporal Eichelberger has also completed training as a standard field sobriety testing instructor. He is a certified police training officer, training the new officers who join the department. When asked what he likes about his chosen profession, he replied, "I just enjoy coming to work each day to serve the citizens of the community." This officer's dedication to keep our roadways safe is the reason Corporal Scott Allen Eichelberger of the Jacksonville Police Department Traffic Division is the Chamber's 2016 Law Enforcement Professional of the Year. All right, congratulations to all the winners and nominees. And on behalf of the Jacksonville-Onslow Chamber of Commerce Board and all its members, we would like to thank you for your service. At this time, I would like to invite Jeff Hudson up for a brief announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I believe that the Board of County Commissioners of Onslow County would affirm that as long as this event wishes to take place in this facility, we are pleased and honored to partner with the Chamber of Commerce to have this event here annually. And I would like to thank Vice Chairman Paul Buchanan Commissioner Jack Bright and Commissioner Millionaire Williams for joining us today and for helping to sponsor the event. Just a couple of things. A few years ago, I was asked to give a commencement address. And as I thought about what to tell those seniors, those graduates, I thought about a lot of things, the secret of success and all of that. But then I remember that if you really think about it, it all boils down to relationships. Relationships, that's really the only thing that we take out of this life. And as I was thinking about today and this coming Saturday, the topic of relationships came to mind once again. You see, I believe that there is an often overlooked relationship between public safety officials and the community that they serve. In any relationship, there's the give and take. You, public safety officials, whether you're agents or law enforcement officers, paramedics, E911 telecommunicators, you are giving of yourselves, your time, your family's time, time which cannot be reclaimed. And you're also putting yourself in the line of danger. You're giving of yourselves daily in a way that many others, other than perhaps the military captain, would understand. So that is what you are giving the community. What do you expect, or should you expect, from the community in this relationship? I believe that the community owes you, certainly, the tools you need to do your job. We owe you the proper supplies, equipment, patrol cars, etc. We owe you honor when you've excelled in your chosen profession, as is appropriate today. And so we have done that in the past, and we continue to do that. But we also owe you one other thing, and perhaps it is the most important part of a relationship. When you give your all, we owe you remembrance, perpetual remembrance. Greater love has no man than that he would give his life for others. This Saturday morning, we're going to honor a piece of our community's relationship with you that has been overlooked. Since 1972, 13 public safety officers have died inside the corporate limits, the jurisdiction of Onslow County. Some Jacksonville police officers, and there is a monument in Jacksonville, and some volunteer firefighters, and some sheriff deputies, and some contracted forestry fire officers, dating back to 1972. Until now, we have only had perhaps a bridge that may be designated for one or two individuals, but let's face it, there aren't that many bridges in Onslow County. And we've also had that cross on the side of the road, adorned with a deputy's hat, a firefighter's helmet, and after a while, perhaps it fades. And we have not had the lasting testament to that committed and fulfilled relationship that public safety officer had with us, the community. We could have done better. We should have done better. And now we are. I ask you and your family members and your friends to take just a few minutes of time this Saturday. Come here to this facility at 9:30 a.m. Saturday morning, and then journey just up the road to the Onslow County Public Safety Memorial. We will unveil a stainless steel wall designed by Professor Carl Billingsley of the ECU School of Art. And on that wall, we will finally honor the 13 public safety officers that have given their all. We know between 150 and 200 of their family members have already RSVP'd that they will be here. It would be appropriate for us to be here and show our support to those families. And now, I would like to thank all of you, whether it's your corporation or you personally, together collectively. Over the last 6 years, we raised $111,000 to construct that monument. And now we can put it to use. We can show those families their long overdue appreciation. I have a few words I will say on Saturday that deals with obligations, and I hope that you'll be here to join in that. But right now, I'd like to share with you a 1-minute video that tells just a little bit about how we got here, and it is time to remember. Production.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. All right, that will conclude today's festivities. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. We would like to ask Mr. Secretary and the winners, the recipients, to come up here for a quick little photo op. Thank you all for what you do for us. Thank you for keeping us safe and healthy. And I will bid you farewell and see you next year. Thank you.